So that's it, I guess. After living and breathing CSRD for 2 years now, it appears that what we thought would be one of the most transformative and challenging pieces of sustainability legislation to date will now affect a significantly smaller number of companies. Not only has the number of companies affected by CSRD legislation been reduced, but the reporting requirements for affected companies are also expected to be much lower. So what on earth am I talking about? What does it mean? And how much of an issue is this change? For those that haven't heard about it, the Corporate Sustainability Reporting Directive is an EU piece of legislation requiring companies to report on their material ESG topics. Since its announcement in 2021, the legislation, to be quite frank, has been terrifying sustainability teams and board members, while simultaneously exciting consultants because of its sheer size and the expected fees involved. The legislation was expected to affect 50,000 companies of varying sizes and contained 1,178 different disclosure points, whilst placing requirements on companies to also seek limited assurance for their reporting. All in all, it was at first glance a significant undertaking, and companies have been adopting a whole host of different approaches to help meet this incoming regulatory requirement. To date, I've spent time with companies who have done nothing, done everything, paid for consultants, completed the work in-house and everything in between, as well as personally making a whole series of videos on how to comply with CSRD since its launch. However, on the 26th of February 2025, the EU announced plans to simplify the rules on sustainability in a number of fields, including sustainable finance reporting, sustainability due diligence reporting, the EU taxonomy, the carbon border adjustment mechanism, and European investment programs. This will have significant implications for CSRD, and it's taken me since the announcement to calm down a little bit and process the change. The changes will remove around 80% of companies from the scope of CSRD, reduce the need for companies to map their whole value chain, postpone reporting to 2028 for those expected to report in 2026 or 2027, and introduce voluntary reporting of the EU taxonomy for those caught by CSRD. All in all, my cynical side immediately screamed, what absolute utter nonsense. The press release is covered in big, bold statements stating that the package will create savings in annual administrative costs of 6.3 billion euros and to mobilise public investment and private investment of about 50 billion euros to support current policies. However, frankly, this feels like a knee-jerk reaction to ongoing political instability in the EU, exacerbated by the launch of Donald Trump, Captain Drill, Drill, Drill onto the world stage. However, while I do appreciate that this will at least reduce some of the reporting burden on companies caught by CSRD, why wasn't this identified at CSRD's inception? Why hasn't it taken till the year most companies were expected to begin collecting data for this announcement to be made? Yes, most companies will continue to work on their own sustainability programs, and some of them may even use budget earmarks for CSRD to create additional gains. But this collapse of leadership on some of the most ambitious sustainability reporting mechanisms at a time when that leadership is needed feels quite telling. So what would I advise companies who have recently been ruled out of CSRD, assuming this proposal goes ahead as planned? I would still recommend creating your own double materiality assessment to help your company visualize the ESG impacts that matter most to your company. This is a really useful way of focusing your efforts on the right areas in a cost-effective manner. After that, I'd spend a little time reviewing the different ESRS standards. These are pretty exhaustive and cover a wider array of topics, from how you should consider your impact on pollution to creating a credible net zero transition plan, as well as covering both social and governance topic areas. Identifying how these could support your existing sustainability framework or help you plan for the future is certainly a useful exercise, if not the compliance-led priority it might have been a few weeks ago. In terms of timelines, EU member states must transpose the extension on the CSRD's reporting timelines into local law by no later than the 31st of December 2025. In terms of the other proposed amendments, these must go through the EU's typical legislative procedure, so could be sidetracked by amendments. So I'd recommend keeping a close eye on developments. and this could be the first in a series of proposals aimed at deregulating the EU's approach to sustainability. And that's all for this week. As always, if you've got any comments or feedback, please leave them below and hit the like button for more content on sustainability consulting. Thank you.